guys, welcome back to another video. Today's video is a refresh on the previous video that I titled Clif High's webbot is wrong, Bitcoin crash is coming. From that video there were tons of comments. I've taken on board a lot of what people had said in there, a lot of the feedback. Some of the feedback was just absolute garbage, just wankers, no subs, you know, never been on camera or never done any of that sort of stuff. That's my assumption, just absolute dickheads. That's the life of YouTube, and I guess I subscribe to that. Those guys who got those comments, fuck them off. I'm not even worried about those guys. The ones I wanted to address and talk about in this succinct video, let's get this out, are the ones that were thinking that I am against Clif High and I think that he is completely wrong. That's not the whole case. I think Clif High is wrong in the sense of cycles. That was the main point I was making in that video. Granted, yes, I did make the video quite long. It's my channel, I like to talk. Even if it's a little bit of babble, it's just fun to be on camera and do my own thing. But I guess in this instance, the point I was trying to make is what I see Clif High is saying in the message that he's giving out. And yes, I should have made that video a little bit more succinct. So that is what this video is about now. And the webbot is the main issue, and the view that's taken by Clif High, because of the perpetual bear market blindness that he has, which was a nice way that one of the comments mentioned it, that they always see the rest of the world, the rest of the economy crashing. Like there's no way for this thing to rebuild, and they've been wrong for the last 8 years. 2009 to now, we've seen the stock market, we've seen all of the markets, not the commodities, we've seen all those markets increase. They've all gone up. So to say that everything is going to come crashing down tomorrow is bullshit. Like, you need to have a full market saturation, which we understand through cryptos. You know, we need to have more people into crypto for there actually to be a crash, from the top, a bigger crash, for that to happen in stock market and our everyday economies. We need to see more people in the market, more people borrowing money from banks. Pretty much everyone maxed out with how much they can borrow because they've all bought everything, which has skyrocketed the prices. Once that happens, there's no one left to buy, and the shit comes crashing down. The markets come crashing down. While we still have two sides of the fence, they're not exactly equal because everything's been going up. We still have a lot of people which are on the sidelines saying that this thing's coming crashing down. It is not, and that is my point that I'm making with Clif High and his webbot. They're viewing it from an eternal bear market's point of view. Having said that, it will happen at some point. What I'm saying is calling it for the last 8 years is nonsense. We will see a little mid-cycle slowdown somewhere in the next couple of years, but that isn't the end of the world. That'll be another buying opportunity, but that's on a grander scale. That's on a bigger time frame. Thank you very much to another subscriber. Another point in the comments that I wanted to address is that people get very touchy when it comes to Bitcoin. Someone saying is it going to be a crash. I'm not calling this the be-all and end-all crash. This crash is a word that you use in a title. Crash is a word that is thrown around and said, and it gets viewers. That's what happened there. I'm glad I used it. It worked. I've got viewers, and now I've got people giving me feedback and comments so I can improve on my next message. So I really appreciate that. If you came to that video, thank you very much. And what I'm talking about there is that we look like we're a bit toppy on Bitcoin, and it could be a point that we see a pullback like we saw in June. We've had a pullback of around 40%. 2013 saw the pullback of somewhere in the mix of 80 to 90%. Bitcoin eventually went up again, but that was 2 years from the top to the bottom, or a year and a half. You know, like if you're an investor, do you want to hold through that period of an 80% drawdown conservatively? You want to hold through that and then wait for it to come back up for the next 2 years? Like, my guess is no, and I don't think that anyone should be wanting to do that. But if you are, so be it. That's the way you invest. Great. I referred to the crocodile teeth. That is what I was looking at there. I'm thinking about a bigger crocodile tooth. I don't know if he has a term for the size of these teeth, but we have a big tooth that poked its head out at 2013 at that top of 1175, and then we saw it crash down to 162. Now we've seen it take off again, and like that's a bigger time frame cycle. So we've got two big teeth that we can see there. I believe there was another one earlier on in the piece. I need to go back and look at those numbers, but it was somewhere from, you know, those few cents to a few dollars up to the hundreds of dollars. So that is a really big escalation of price in a somewhat, wasn't a super short amount of time, but it was a very big increase. So they're the big crocodile teeth that I'm thinking of. I'm not thinking about these little crocodile teeth, if that's what people are thinking about, the falls of 10 to 20%. Like, I don't see that as very significant. I think the big ones are the ones that I would want to buy in on, and to think about that this market is going to go on forever is nonsense as well. Which leads me to the next point, that people are talking about this in the comments, that a whole new paradigm shift is happening. Yes, in one sense, and in the other sense, I think the bankers and everyone else that we dislike that are wanting to get into the field of crypto, they're going to be able to control this in some way or another. We will eventually find our way out of it, but there are still going to be big cycles, whether it's Bitcoin, Ethereum, or any of the other top coins. We're still going to see big cycles happen. They're going to have booms and busts. This isn't just an eternal thing because of a max supply. There are going to be other factors that play into cycles, like what we're seeing now with the mining. You know, it could be too expensive to mine, so people jump off that coin and we start using a different coin. It could be people don't come to a consensus on something and the coin just goes out of style. The marketing is a big one with crypto at the moment. If you just, people stop thinking about it for a week or two, the price starts to dip. So there's so many other factors apart from the coins being in limited supply that play out in this field. That is another point that I wanted to make there. The last thing I want to do is wrap up with one of the last points that someone made in the comments, and I'm just going to grab the laptop and read it off here. This is a big one. It's not necessarily focused directly on crypto, but I think in life in general, this is a really big lesson that I've taken for myself over the years. And although I look young, I'm not super young, but let's get on with the question, the comment. Someone's mentioned here, sorry Jason, good effort on sharing your views, but when talking about the legend Clif High, the dude was a top consultant for Microsoft back in the 80s. He has programmed and integrated every aspect of the internet before you even turned 10, probably. You just come saying he is wrong. You are displaying how much you don't know and how much you don't understand. What have you achieved in the space so far, mate? Did you invent Ethereum or it's SOMTH, something? Clif can do all of that and even share some better and futuristic technologies detailed step by step. Bitcoin is due for a retracement, but rest assured that fiat is dead and there's no other alternative that has as much depth as Bitcoin at this time. Okay, cool. I'm leaving the Bitcoin thing aside. I think Bitcoin cryptocurrencies are the way of the future. I think fiat is dying. There's a big fucking gap to get across. Andrea Antonopoulos mentions it's going to take at least a generation for this to catch on. If you really have to think about this, you've got people older than us in another generation. They don't know how to use wallets and everything electronically. It's still physical for them. If we're going to turn this product into something physical so that we can get them to adapt, that's probably a big space that could be used. They can make a fair bit of profit. So I'm going to leave that to the side, but the main part I want to touch on is I am allowed, obviously everyone is, but I will always share my views regardless of what education or what someone else has achieved. I expect everyone else to do that in the world, because you should never stop questioning anything. All here is he's talked about how intelligent Clif High is. No doubt, I'm not going down that path. Clif High is a very intelligent bloke. But that aside, there's still other parts that people can lack in their personalities. We're talking here about cycles. I'm talking Clif may has an eternal bear market point of view, perspective on the economy. That leaves people blindsided, and that can happen in any field. You tend to find that people that are really focused on the scientific side of their brain forget about the art side, and then they can't marry the two together. Clif's mentioned that he doesn't get the timing right in a lot of these projects. He's talked about that with silver and cryptocurrencies. The bots tell us dates and tell us all other bits and pieces, and they come off wrong all the time. All I'm doing is mentioning that Clif says he's wrong at times, which is fine. We're all allowed to be wrong. And then you get a fucking backlash of people saying you can't talk about someone because they are more intelligent than you are. That's my interpretation of the comment. If that's not what the person was saying, all right, so be it. But always question things regardless of the person's background and education and whatnot like that, because you will always have something to bring to the party that they may not have seen. That was my last point on that. Thank you so much for watching. Sorry it's another long video, but I felt like this needed to be made, and I will be directing people from that video to this video so they can see the main points. All the main points are in the beginning, and I wanted to touch on those questions at the end. So again, thank you so very much. Remember to like, share, subscribe down below. Comments, let me know your feedback as you so kindly did in the last video, and I will see you at the next video. So until next time, peace out.